Sherm Chester with you on this edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum, and my special guest today is from the Seacoast Media Group, Jay Pinsonnault. Catches Byline, Portsmouth Herald, Exeter Newsletter, Hampton Union, Foster's Democrat, and where I get all my sporting news, seacoastonline.com. Jay, this is a special edition. When we talked over the previous weeks about what could happen in the tournament, happened.
Yeah.
The best of both worlds. We'll talk about it in a little while about the other teams. We've been well represented in the success of different teams in the tournament here on the Seacoast. But the matchup that we were hoping would happen is going to happen in baseball. The ultimate rivalry, the ultimate championship game, as far as I'm concerned, the Exeter Bluehawks taking on the Winnacunnett Warriors.
Yeah, that's I don't think anyone, when this tournament started a week ago, would have envisioned an Exeter Winnacunnett baseball championship game. As we discussed many times during this baseball season and before the season, I had Exeter and Pinkerton in the finals. They happened to be matched up on the same side of the bracket. So they faced off last night. Pinkerton beat Exeter last year's championship game, beat them 3-1 in the regular season this season. But last night's game was unbelievable. It was all Exeter from the very beginning. They knocked out Pinkerton starter Leo Boucher after 2 innings. He gave up 4 hits, 4 runs on 5 walks, 1 strikeout. And then the Michael Chalfie, the other Pinkerton #1 ace, came in. He gave up 6 runs, 6 earned in 2 1/3. And from there, it was just all Bluehawks last night. They went 12-1 in 5 innings. They scored 8 runs in the 5th inning to put them up by 12, and that enabled Cam Panicki to finish the game with a complete game effort last night. He threw 80 pitches, 6 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Absolutely unbelievable pitching performance by the Brown University commit last night. It should be, weather permit, if the games are played on Saturday. I know Mother Nature may have something to say about that, but if the game is played on Saturday, Cam Panicki threw his final pitch as a Bluehawk last night at Holman Stadium, and what a send-off performance he had. He was just electric all night. Pinkerton was 20-0 going into the game, and they could do nothing against Panicki. And I know that he told our guy, Brendan Brown, that last year's loss to Pinkerton was the worst day of his life. And he more than made up for that with his performance last night, sending the 5th-seeded Bluehawks to the state championship game. And no one would be surprised that Exeter is in the final game. However, their opponent, no one expected Winnacunnett, especially me, to be in the state championship game at the state's highest level. 10-10 in the regular season, then 3 playoff wins. First against #7 Bedford, second at #2 Goffstown, and then last night a walk-off win in the bottom of the 7th inning to beat #11 Salem 6-5 in the first of 2 semifinals yesterday at home. And just a great day for Seacoast baseball last night. And it is great and only fitting that Exeter Winnacunnett will play for the first time ever in a Division I baseball state championship game. And I, for one, am looking forward to that game. I wish it was today, but we can all rest the next couple days and enjoy what should be a classic rivalry matchup for everything on the line Saturday at Delta Dental Stadium in Manchester.
I know it was 2018, the last championship for the Bluehawks. What about for the Warriors? How long has it been?
You have to go back a couple more years after that, Sherm. It was 2002.
Okay, all right.
2002, the last time The last time they reached the championship game was 2021. That was Joe Allen was a junior on that team. They faced Concord, and they lost to Noah Wachter, who threw a no-hitter against the Warriors. And even when you have Joe Allen on the mound, if you don't get a hit, you're not going to win. So Concord beat Winnacunnett 4-0 in the 2021 championship, which was actually at Holman Stadium. I don't know why it wasn't at Delta Dental, but that game was at Holman Stadium in 2021.
Pitching matchups going into this championship game. Mm-hmm. We know Cam can't pitch. Coach Bruce Joyce, what is his strategy? And again, Coach Abood.
Yeah, I think Exeter, you would have to look at two possibilities: sophomore right-hander Nolan Engler and junior right-hander Ethan Battles. Engler started last Saturday's game at Trinity. I think he went 2+ innings. Trinity scored 5 runs in the first inning. They chased Engler. I think he pitched 2 or 2+. Then Battles came in and got the final 2 innings there. So I think either one of those, I would be surprised if it's not one of those two for Exeter. And for Winnacunnett, as you said, Panicki's not available, but Winnacunnett, everyone's available. The starting pitcher yesterday, Connor Fowler, threw 49. Justin Coates, the first reliever, I think he was around 45, 50. Third pitcher, Oscar Fritz, was like 15. And Harvey Reynoso would be on full rest. He hasn't pitched since Sunday. And the magic number there, what's interesting in this game, Sherm, is the magic number for pitches is 75 with the rest between Wednesday's game and Saturday's game. And I asked Bruce Joyce this after the game last night. Exeter was leading 12-1 in the 5th inning, and Cam Panicki was at 66 pitches. So I'm thinking, do you leave Panicki in there, who's absolutely throwing a gem, and basically surpass that 75 pitch threshold and eliminate him from the possibility of pitching on Saturday? Or do you have faith in your bullpen guys to take Cam Panicki out with an 11-run lead and at least keep him eligible for Saturday? And even if you don't have plans to use him on Saturday, because I know it's a short rest between Wednesday and Saturday when you get up to that many pitches. But my thinking, but I'm not a high school baseball coach, and there's a reason for that. Because I probably wouldn't be successful. But my thinking is, if I'm a coach and if I'm in Bruce's situation, 12-1 lead, you have confidence in your kids. Take Panicki out, keep him eligible for Saturday, and even if you don't have any plans to use him, you at least plant the seed of the possibility he may come in at some point during Saturday's game. And I think that's an advantage to Winnacunnett, knowing Panicki, the best pitcher in the state, in my opinion, is not available on Saturday. Where if they took him out, sure, they may have not won in 5 innings. Maybe Exeter gave up a couple runs in the 5th inning. Maybe they have to go to 6 or 7 innings. But I think the keeping Panicki available for Saturday, even if you have no plans to use him, would have been advantageous for Exeter to do. But I'm not a head coach, and I did ask Bruce Joyce that last night, and he said, let me read you exactly what he said, because this was over text. Piv was going so great, and it gave us a chance to end it right there, but it did cross his mind the possibility of taking him out to keep him eligible for Saturday. So he did think about it, but he just liked the way Panicki was throwing and didn't want to risk, just wanted that game over with.
Right.
and get his
Yeah.
team to the championship game.
Yeah. Well, I can see both ways of thinking. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, the way to cap the Bluehawk pitcher's career off, letting him, you
Correct.
know, get to that championship game,
Yeah.
and then let the team, you know,
Correct.
take it on their shoulders the rest of the way. What I did want to ask you, and again, you said the pitching limits.
If you throw under 75 pitches in a day, so you would need, I think it's 3 days rest. If you go over 75, I think you need 3 days rest, which would be Thursday and Friday. So Saturday is not considered a day of rest. So if he was under 75, or if anyone was under 75, see all the Winnacunnett pitchers yesterday threw 75. So all of them are eligible to throw Saturday, and in a new game, it resets where the maximum you can throw in one game is 120.
Okay.
So if Cam was taken out yesterday underneath the 75 pitch limit, he could have thrown. I'm not saying it would be the wise decision to throw him 120, but he would be eligible to throw 120 pitches on Saturday, or any pitcher would. The max in a day is 120.
Now, as far as, again, the Warriors, what are you foreseeing as far as their starter for the game?
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. It could be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Connor Fowler, a senior captain who's going to be playing at Kobe Sawyer next year. I wouldn't be surprised if it's junior Justin Coates, or I'm sorry, sophomore Justin Coates. I wouldn't be surprised if it's junior lefty Harvey Reynoso. So I think any one of those three are in play. I think Exeter will see all three of them at some point during the game. Who starts the game on Saturday? I honestly have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised if any one of those three gets the call to start, but I do think you will see all three at some point during the game.
It was a surprise, I think, for the Pinkerton Astros. They had to use all three of their stud pitchers in that game.
Yeah, and none of them look good yesterday.
Wow.
Boucher is a great pitcher. Cholfi is a great pitcher. They both will continue their baseball careers and have great success. Brazier came in after that, and all three of those kids struggled. And in that fifth inning where Exeter scored 8 runs, they got the first out of the inning in the top of the fifth. Then they went single, walk, single, double, walk, hit by pitch, walk, and then Jack Dever struck out, and then we had another walk, and then the final out of the inning. So after the first out of the inning was made, 10 straight batters reached base, and you don't see that from a Pinkerton staff. And I was sitting in the stands watching that game, and I was just as shocked as probably everyone in that stands, if you're wearing blue or if you're wearing red or if you had no shirt on spelling Bluehawks, which some Exeter kids did last night, which was great. It was a great student atmosphere for the Bluehawks. They spelled Bluehawks correctly, which was good, and they were all lined up perfectly. So that was good, and it was just a great baseball game. And I think, it had the makings of a great baseball game. I think everybody walking out of Holman last night was absolutely shocked. Not that Exeter won, but that they won 12-1 in 5 innings.
Yeah, and they took out the studs, the big aces. That I think was what impressed most people. And the funny thing is, and I was working, obviously doing the public address announcing for the lacrosse semifinals that involved Pinkerton, and we'll get to that in a minute, and also the Bluehawks. But the deal was, I was fortunate enough, Bluehawk Media was recording the game for future use, and they had the monitor in the booth with us, so I could see the game. And I have to admit, I was splitting my attention between lacrosse and baseball. And when I saw the score was 4-1, I went, yes, this is what we like. And so it was just, I kept tabs on it throughout. But we'll get to lacrosse in a few minutes. It wasn't.
And I think what helped Exeter last night really was when they scored. Was when they got 3 runs off Boucher in the first inning.
Yeah.
They set the tone right there, and from there, Campanicki got a lead, and he just dominated after that.
And as we said before, I mean, it's how the brackets, are set up based on where you end the season. And I think the Bluehawks, were obviously undefeated going into the final week of the season or final weeks of the season. We knew Goffstown was going to be tough. We knew Pinkerton was going to be tough, and Trinity were going to be tough. And the way the end shook out, we wound up in the fifth position, which obviously number 2 would have been in the lower part of the bracket, so we would have
Correct.
been beating the
Goffstown.
Warriors earlier.
Goffstown was 2. Yeah.
Right. And then 3 would have been nice, and then 4 would have been nice, and then the fifth position, unfortunately, you lost the home field advantage, and they had to play through Trinity, which they did and beat them.
Yep.
And and then obviously having Pinkerton be the home team in that semifinal. So they really accomplished a lot. I mean, I don't think anybody doubted they were going to have a successful end, but there again, you're going up against the big number 1 gun, Pinkerton. So
no, they struggled. There was a stretch there after they lost to Pinkerton on what day was that? It was May 19th. They lost 3-1. That started their 4-game slide there, where they lost 4 straight games to Pinkerton, Goffstown, Spalding, and Dover before they finally got back going playing Exeter baseball, beating Bishop Girton in the final game of the regular season 8-2. And as Hayden Schmoller said last night after the game, they're just mashing the ball right now up and down the lineup. I believe they have scored 39 runs in their 3 playoff wins against the last 2 being very good teams in Trinity and Pinkerton. And they've scored 39 runs on the board. And in recent years, pitching has always been the strength of Exeter baseball. Hitting has been good, but it's never been their strength. But right now, 39 runs in 3 playoff games is pretty good.
That's impressive.
Yeah, very impressive.
And going to the bottom bracket where the Warriors had their success, you got to give them kudos. I mean, they were in the 10th hole going into the tourney and beat out the number 7 seed, Bedford. That gave them the opportunity to take on number 2, Goffstown, and there again, another team that was undefeated going down to the wire, and then they lost to Pinkerton. So it turned out that they had to beat Goffstown and did it, and so that gave them their end of the bracket. And then Londonderry, they were the number 3 seed. I think Salem beating Dover, probably not a big surprise, even though Dover's a good team, but Salem beating Londonderry to get in against the Warriors, that was kind of a surprise for me. When Winnacunnett was about to start their game at Goffstown, word started trickling in that Londonderry was upset, and everyone was so shocked to hear that score that the winner of that Goffstown-Winnacunnett game would get the 11 seed in the semifinals. And Winnacunnett had a 1-run win against Bedford, where the tying run was thrown out at the plate to end the game. Then they beat Goffstown 2-1. And then they go into last night's game, and you have 2 Cinderella teams playing each other. They're both on a roll, and Salem played great. They jumped out on Winnacunnett 2-0 in the first inning. Winnacunnett scored in the bottom of the first. Winnacunnett took a 3-2 lead with 2 runs in I think it was the 4th inning. Then Salem took the lead back. Then we tied it. Then we went up 5-4 going to the 7th. And then Salem tied it in the top of the 7th. And then Winnacunnett won it on a walk-off. And the hero of that game for Winnacunnett was another sophomore. Winnacunnett has started 5 or 6 sophomores all season. And Braden O'Hara had 4 hits yesterday. And what was surprising is there was 1 out, runners on first and third in a tie game, and Salem elected to intentionally walk Ethan Roy, who had not got a hit
in the game to load the bases, to set up a force at any base, and brought O'Hara up to the plate, who was 3 for 3 in the game. And then the first pitch O'Hara saw, he had a hard ground ball that went between the right of the third baseman and left of the third base bag into left field. And some kid named Bryce Pinsonnault scored the game-winning run there, and everyone just mobbed O'Hara at first base. And I just was very curious why the Salem coaching staff would intentionally walk a kid who was 0 for 3, load the bases, and face a kid who was 3 for 3 in the game, who then delivered a hard-hit, game-winning, season-ending base hit to left field to win it for Winnacunnett. I just questioned why. I didn't talk to the Salem coach after the game, but I just would love to know the mindset of what his thought process was setting up the bases loaded situation to a kid who had 3 hits already in the game.
And you mentioned that the winning run, the one that came across the plate, was your son, Bryce, and I'm sure you're a proud papa sitting in the stands watching that. The only thing I gotta tell you, though, I watched the replay last night on Channel 9, and when he went into the huddle, he threw his helmet up, and I thought he was either going to take out the umpire at first base or one of his teammates.
Yeah. He threw that up high. Him and I watched that a few times last night, and that, as my dad said this morning, he sent that thing into orbit.
Yeah, he did. He was happy, obviously.
And the thing about the Winnacunnett run here is they were 4-8 to start the season. No one expected anything out of this team this year. They got hot at the right time. They're playing strong, fundamental baseball. They're getting pitching. They're getting defense. They're getting phenomenal defense from a lot of people, especially another sophomore, Branson Lark, over at second base, who made an unbelievable catch against Goffstown. He made tremendous catches yesterday in foul territory. It's just Winnacunnett. I think that's what makes this ride even more special for anyone involved with the Winnacunnett program, is that no one expected this season. It's just a bunch of kids who don't know what they've done so far. And going against Exeter in the state championship game, how fun is that going to be?
That's going to be the icing on the cake for whichever team wins. I mean, it's a rivalry game, but it's also
Exeter's
real special.
The prohibitive favorite in this game.
Well,
I'm wearing the Winnacunnett hat, and Exeter is the prohibitive favorite. But who knows?
Who knows? You know, you got you don't know who the pitcher will be for you, the Warriors, I should say. I say you, but you know. You are, and I'm bleeding blue on the other side with the Hawks, obviously. But the deal is, you know, that backstop, that's your boy. So that's a good place to start. Whoever is throwing has got a good backstop, and same thing for the Bluehawks. I mean, you know, that's an important part. Yeah, but the brackets always, everybody's worried about who's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's obviously important. But it's the coaching.
Correct.
I think
I just did it again, Sherm. Winnacunnett does not get to this game if not for the head coaching of Aaron Abood. Aaron Abood and his staff have done wonders with this team. 100%, this team is not there if Aaron Abood is not the head coach of this team.
Yeah, and give kudos to the Salem coach for getting as far as he did. You know, everybody probably wrote them off early on in the game, and the Bluehawks had that rough end of the season, and people kind of were like, maybe this won't work out the way it should.
But Bruce has turned them around too.
Yeah, so kudos to the coaches. You can't let and the coaching staffs, and then I know with Exeter you've got Chief Kane and you got Pat Murphy and all that crew that is on the sidelines with Bruce Joyce, and Aaron has his crew, and you just keep the kids focused. That's the big thing, The parts can all come together on a given day, and so I'm happy, and couldn't have asked for a better matchup.
And I think everyone. So all 4 games are being played at Delta Dental, Division 4, Division 3, Division 2, Division 1.
And so let's go through the divisions. Let's go for number 2, Division 2. That again is going to be Souhegan and John Stark.
Oh, breaking
And
news right here, sir. We're breaking news right here at the Seacoast
right.
Sports Podcast.
Cool.
The word just in from Coach Aaron Abood. Winnacunnett Exeter, 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
Is that the first breaking news you've had on this podcast before?
Yeah, it is, really. I was just going to say, thanks to Aaron for that. And I should have a sounder or something so we can kind of bring that out. But, the good thing about it is, I think, 1 o'clock's a good time to get a crowd there. I know, like you say, prime time would be better. And weather is the only concern I have. Hopefully it doesn't screw the game up. That's all, the weather.
Yeah.
And,
I think Winnacunnett would play in a monsoon at midnight if they were told to.
We'll run down the Division 2 again. I said Souhegan, the Sabres will take on the John Stark Generals.
That game is at 7 o'clock, as I was told this morning that it was probably going to be. In Division 3, we have Monadnock and Bishop Brady. That's going to be the 4 o'clock game. And so that leaves the Division 4 game between Epping and Woodsville as the 10 a.m. game at Delta Dental, weather permitting, Mother Nature permitting.
Now, do you know if they have any contingency plan? Is Delta Dental available on Sunday if they have to shift? Or
I was thinking that myself, but I was assuming that if it's available Saturday, it would be available Sunday. But I think after COVID, I think they started having some minor league series starting on Sundays. So I'm hopping on the Fisher Cats website now to see what their schedule is. Sunday they're on the road still. They're at Reading. So Fisher Cats are not. So if if for some reason Delta Dental's booked for something else, I don't know what and games are postponed Saturday. I don't know what the contingency. I'm assuming they would just go to move everything move everything over one day.
Seacoast teams were represented in different sports this year, obviously, and with pretty good success. And we still have more games to be decided, more championships to be decided. Now, softball is still up in the air, correct? Literally.
Yeah, the one remaining Seacoast area softball team still alive is in Division 3 with St. Thomas Aquinas. They will be playing. They'll be playing Prospect Mountain at Plymouth State University at 7 o'clock. A couple weeks ago, St. Thomas snapped Prospect Mountain's 71-game win streak. Prospect is the 3-time defending Division III champion. They eliminated St. Thomas in last year's semifinal round, and those two teams, the top 2 seeds in Division III, they square off Saturday night, 7 o'clock in Plymouth State. Stratham's Abby Gaynor is the stud pitcher the Saints have, and I think I told you this on an earlier podcast. St. Thomas coached by former Bluehawk Mackenzie McGrath. I thought this was going to be the year for the Saints to win the Division III state championship. They have a tough task ahead of them on Saturday, but I think this is the year Gaynor and her fellow Saints take control and bring home a Division III state championship.
Well, let's go to lacrosse. I've mentioned earlier that I've been involved with announcing the lacrosse action, both girls and boys, up at William Ball Stadium. We had the Division I championship game. That was between the Portsmouth Clippers and Souhegan Sabres. And the Clippers, they go back to back. So you were there. Give me your take on it.
Yeah, I think that result was expected. Souhegan played very well. They were leading 3-2 after the first quarter. That is the first time Portsmouth had trailed at the end of any quarter during the season. Portsmouth is just so talented and well coached by JoJo Coro. And she battled against her sister McKinley in the championship game. So that's always a fun little side angle to that. But Portsmouth, I believe, will take a 27-game win streak into next season. They've won the last 2 Division I state championships, and that was the first of 2 state championship games over there that you had at Exeter with St. Thomas winning. I think they beat Guilford in the Division III championship game.
Yeah.
And then that same night over at Bedford High School, Winnacunnett won their first title in, I think, since 2009 with a win over Merrimack Valley for the Division II state championship.
So that was a good girls lacrosse, good
Yeah,
representation of the
Tuesday.
Seacoast.
Yeah, Tuesday brought home 3 Seacoast state champions in the girls lacrosse. It was a good night.
Yeah, and then we'll go to the boys' side of things, and the Division One is still to be decided. I was at the semifinals, like I said earlier. I was watching the Pinkerton Astros play the Exeter Bluehawk boys lacrosse team. First half was all Pinkerton. Second half, the Bluehawks started to come alive, but unfortunately came up short. So Pinkerton advances. They're the number 1 seed in the boys lacrosse Division One tournament. Number 2 seed in the bottom bracket or lower bracket, Bishop Girton Cardinals. They beat Bedford. So it's going to be a heavyweight fight, Pinkerton versus Bishop Girton, with they're Girton trying to keep back-to-back. So we'll see how that works out. From what I saw on the field at the games yesterday, it's going to be a contest, a heavyweight contest.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be. And we got 3 local teams playing tonight. We have Portsmouth and Winnacunnett playing in the early Division II semifinal over at Bedford High School. And then in the late semifinal tonight, we have top seed Derryfield going against number 5 seed St. Thomas Aquinas. So we'll definitely have at least one Seacoast team represented in Saturday's championship game. And hopefully if the Saints can pull it off, we'll have another Seacoast versus Seacoast state championship game on Saturday.
We got some good teams around here. Yeah. Good talent. The Division III boys lacrosse championship that will be coming up on Saturday as well. And right now the semifinal round that will be Co-Brown Northwood at the top seed going up against number 4 Hopkinton, and in the bottom bracket it's number 2 Plymouth taking on Campbell, the Cougars. So we got some action coming up here over the weekend, but of course we're concentrating on baseball.
Yes, sir.
Well, it should be a fun weekend. I mean, it's just again, every day you go into a game, no matter what the sport is, and it's where the coaches have to really do their job and keep the kids pumped up and focused. And I think these 2 teams, Exeter and Winnacunnett, their coaches accomplished that in spades. So good luck and congratulations for both. We don't really have to bring up the big boy sports this time unless you want to. Is there something you want to bring up on the 2-minute drill?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
But I guess Sox and the Yankees are invading Fenway this weekend. Sox have taken 2 out of 3 of their last 2 series. So hopefully they can keep it going. We got Crochet going. I think me and my oldest son, Jason, will be going to that game.
I was going to ask you about Roman Anthony, the call-up. First game was a little shaky. I mean, he can hit, obviously. The kid has some power with his stick. What's your feeling so far with what you've seen in just a short time?
Yeah, I think he's talented, and he's certainly talented. You don't get to be the number 1 prospect in all of baseball if you're not. He's 21 years old. There's going to be times where he struggles as he adjusts to the major league game, but there's going to be times where he shows his talent and does well for the team. And I think the more games he plays, the more he's going to get comfortable, the more he's going to be relaxed, and the more he'll figure out major league pitching. And I think you're starting to see that now with Marcelo Meyer, who hit 2 home runs last night in Fenway in their win over Tampa Bay. So it's great that they have all 3 of these kids up here, Campbell, Meyer, and Anthony. And the future is here for the Red Sox, and let's see what happens.
For the 2-minute drill, the only thing I wanted to say was the other day I was reading an article Terrell Covey did in SeacoastOnline.com. It's about the Bluehawks manager, Cole Capparelli. An interesting young man and an integral part of that Bluehawk family. I encourage people to go on to Seacoast Online and check that article out.
Terrell did not know of Cole before I assigned that story to him, and I assigned that story to Terrell because he does there's certain things, there are certain stories that certain people do better at. And I think Terrell is the one who would write the best story to tell Cole's what Cole has done, what Cole is, the adversity he has faced, the adversity he has overcome, the where he has gone with his life. And Terrell did a tremendous job on that story, and he really liked talking with Cole. Not only Cole, but Bruce Joyce, Paul DiMarino, Cole's entire family, and just learning who Cole is, what he's gone through, and what he's going to do in a very bright future for him coming up. And he's going to Southern New Hampshire University in the fall, and he wants to continue to be involved in the men's hockey program there. And I think it's a great story, and I would be sure Terrell would love to come on and share more about what he learned from Cole and his story in any time that you would want him on. So I'm almost positive Terrell would be more than happy to come on and talk. And he would love it if Cole was able to be there as well and talk to him as well.
Well, maybe when you're up there at Delta Dental Stadium, maybe encourage Cole to come on with us. So
yeah.
Very, very easy. We're easy to work with.
Yes. Well, you are.
Well,
you are.
It's not going to be an interrogation. I just want to, give him his just due, because he's done a lot for the Bluehawk family, not only for baseball but for also hockey, as you mentioned. And Terrell, always welcome. And Brandon has been a busy man. He took the day off, so
he did.
I'm glad. I'm happy for him, and we'll get him on. I told him when we get everything, when the dust settles, we'll get everybody together and we'll go through what came out of the season, which I think has been so far so good. And now, Dad, just tell your boy Bryce to just relax. Keep cool. Both coaches just have to keep their teams focused, as we said earlier, and good things will happen. And let's hope Mother Nature cooperates. That's all. I just want to see a good, clean game with no weather issues.
And it's going to be fun to see actually the two great rivals. One could say, arguably, Exeter Winnacunnett is the best rivalry in the state of New Hampshire, and to see them play for the first time in a Division I state championship for baseball is going to be very exciting for the Exeter community, the Winnacunnett community, and I think the entire baseball community of New Hampshire and the Seacoast, of course, seeing two of the Seacoast schools battle it out for the state championship.
Amen. We'll end with that, and we'll check back next week. And hey, good luck. That's all I can say to both teams. I'm gonna be neutral in this one.
Yeah.
Just both teams.
I try to be neutral, even though I'm wearing a hat. I try to be neutral. I think anyone who would read a Winnacunnett story, I think it would be fair to assume that you would not know that I'm a Winnacunnett dad if you read a Winnacunnett story. So I try to be
you're
fair
right
down the middle as I can.
You're right down the middle. I was saying I could wear an Exeter Bluehawk cap, one of my son's old ones from 100 years ago, but I think it's a little threadbare and
those are the good ones. Those are the good hats. They fit well. They're comfortable.
Hey, I tell you what, I'll never give it up.
No, those hats are good.
Well, may the best team win, and we know it's going to be a Seacoast team. That's all that really matters, okay? That's the bottom line. Jay Pinsonnault, our special guest today, part of the Seacoast Media Group. You can check out his byline in the Portsmouth Herald, Exeter Newsletter, Hampton Union, and Foster's Daily Democrat. If you're enjoying the program, please pass the word. We're on all the major podcast platforms. And if you have any comments or questions, you can get to us at seacoastsportsforum@yahoo.com. So until next time, this is Sherm Chester inviting you to join us for the next edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum podcast.